Our guest interviewee has quite an achievement in her chosen field of profession. Graduating from Mountain View College Academy in Bukidnon in 1990 with a degree in Bachelor of Science in Nursing, this served as her stepping stone onto what she has become today. She, as a registered nurse, worked as a staff nurse in one of the hospitals in the United States from 1995 to 2006. With a calling to lead, she decided to use her skills and expertise in serving the public. In 2001, she became the municipal mayor of Panaon, Misamis Occidental for one term. She then became its vice mayor for the next terms 2010 to 2019. At present, she is now a provincial board member of the province of Misamis Occidental. As a wife and mother, she sure can handle it all. Without further ado, let me welcome Miss Roseanne Marie Pailaga Lim.
Good day, Ma'am Roseanne Marie Lim. I'm Jolo Villanueva.
And I'm Angeli Grace Tan, a member of Group 5 in Leadership and Decision Making, and we'll be your interviewers for today. So, studying leadership has helped us so much in growing more as people. So, it is an absolute pleasure and honor to have an actual leader in our community to join us. Good day, Ma'am Rose and Marie Lim.
Good day, ma'am.
Hi, Mrs. Lim. So,
It's my
okay.
pleasure to be interviewed by you guys.
Yes, thank you, Miss Lim. And so, 4 years, you've gone a long way in being quite a leader in our society, right? From being a nurse to an actual municipal mayor, and until today, you remain to hold such relevance to the people as an outstanding board member of our community. So, tell us, please, what does leadership mean to you?
Actually, before I start, I'd like to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to take part in your learning. And before we start, I'll have this disclaimer, okay? Um, Being a political leader and the definitions or my answers to your questions might be different from the typical leader in the corporate world. So I hope you understand that. I want to be as real as possible. I want to really give you a picture of what really happens in the real world, in the real political world. So I've been thinking a lot about this question ever since Jolo sent me the questionnaire. And the only thing I can come up with when it comes to defining leadership is leadership is when you actually impact or influence or affect others' lives through what you say or through what you do. So I think that's basically what I can tell you of how I define leadership.
I see, ma'am. So, with that outlook, did anyone influence such perspective to you, ma'am? If so, can you describe to us their key actions and behavior as to why they are the best leader for you?
Okay. Um, I want to tell you first that I am a third generation politician. So it started with my grandfather, who was a mayor, and then both my parents served as mayors also, and up to me. And growing up, I never really aspired to be a politician, but I did end up being one. And as a politician and looking back to where I came from, the main thing that I've seen my family did that is, I guess, more or less key to our leadership and what I've seen in them is being consultative. Not just feeling like you're the only hot shot in the group, uh, being really consensus making, asking people, asking your core group what they think, and listening to them, and actually coming up with solutions and brainstorming. So it's that's the main thing that I find very something that I really see in them, and I've emulate from them.
Wow, that's really great hearing that, ma'am, and very inspirational as well. And so it's really nice to have someone we can look up to, right? With that being said, I think this has been discussed for quite some time already, and yet the actual answer to it has always been very subjective. So I'm curious to what you think, ma'am. Do you think leaders are born or made?
Um, Actually, you know what? I think you can say it's both, because some people I really believe are born with traits that will make them good or great leaders. But it's up to that person also to develop themselves. So you can have that trait at birth, but then if you don't develop it, then you don't become the leader that you could actually be. So you might be born with some traits, and then it's up to you to nurture, to really develop those traits to the maximum. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Bullseye, ma'am. We understand what you, we understand what you mean. Now that we talk about leaders, let's talk about role models. What are they to you? And is there any way that they are relevant for our leaders today?
Okay, Joel, this is the thing. I really have to be honest with you. Um, as human beings, it's not. It's unavoidable. We cannot avoid looking at other leaders or at certain individuals to be possibly your role models. But the thing is, uh, as human being, no one's perfect, and that's why I tend to not look at people as my role models. I tend to really get my guidance and get my role modeling from the Bible. That's the main thing, because I get so frustrated and I get so disappointed at looking at people, and then no one's perfect. But although sometimes there are leaders that you really admire and you pick and choose what you can from their leadership, and there are also leaders that you really hate, and so you know, oh, I'm not gonna be like that, or I'm not gonna do that thing. But bottom line, it's better to stick to the Bible. As a Christian, that's what I do.
Amen, ma'am. I, can we ask, besides your favorite leader that we talked about earlier, who
Mhm.
are your role models and what characteristics do they have to you that have been so influential for you, if you if ever you have some role models in
Yeah,
your life?
maybe your father, ma'am, that you've talked about earlier, or your
Okay.
parents.
Yeah, as I've said earlier, human beings tend to have, to make mistakes and stuff like that. So my role model, Joe, or who I look up to, is really Jesus Christ. There might be some leaders here and there, but you have to pick and choose the characteristics or their traits that you want or you want to emulate. So sorry, I cannot say who or what.
That's
Yes.
counted, ma'am.
Yes. What I don't think this question I'm about to ask is um relevant as of now.
Uh
Um
huh.
or maybe I think yes it is. So I'll just still ask this question. What about Jesus's leading styles or life lessons? What have you learned from him, ma'am?
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Angeli. And I'm so glad that you guys are very what you call this, very fluid, or I don't know what the right term is, but you think on your feet. I wish I'm like that. But anyway, with Jesus Christ, the main thing that I really look and try to really focus on is his servant leadership. And especially for us in the political world, um, it is really very important that that's the thing that we focus on. Um, as people who've been chosen, as leaders who've been chosen by the population to lead them, it's very important for us to really remember and to really every day to strive to be that a servant leader.
Yes. Now that we've talked about what others have influenced to you or things that you've learned from others, let's now proceed to leaders being leaders. And I think this is such an important discussion because leaders are very impactful to their followers, their people. So it's very appropriate to see and use this power in a good way. Now you, ma'am, as a leader yourself, yes, what do you think leaders can do in order to help others in the organization to see the future?
A lot of times, especially in the government, we have workshops at the start of the term. We have workshops to determine our short term, medium term, and long term development goals. Through those formal work wherein you and your department heads and your key officials come together to come up with what you guys want to achieve in 3 years, in 6 years, in long term. That's mainly the way that we are able to see or make others see the future, because we have this brainstorming sessions where we come up with these development goals, and that's the main thing. But also, um, you can have this informal sessions. It's a good thing if, as a leader, you um, invite your key people every so often, so that you guys can also, in a very informal, in a very relaxed manner, you can come up, or you can together see the future for the organization.
It's very great, ma'am. It's really nice to see some leaders' willingness to encourage their peers. Of course, this is also this lets us learn a lot from you as well. Now, I would like to ask you, ma'am, specifically, what are some of the actions you would like to take to create a climate for change and to encourage risk taking?
Okay. Um, in it's not We all know that the government has this, is it's always been generalized or stereotyped that the government is very this really negative things. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of what happened when I first started working for the government as a mayor. I really had to double up on the values training that I introduced to the organization, because um, coming in, that's what I thought was really missing. We are in the government; they're really into training for this, the regular programs and this and that, but the values formation training is missing. So that's one thing that uh, I was able to introduce to the organization. A lot of values training, psychological, like those team building stuff.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
because of those, I think for the first 2 years, I did a lot of those. We we allowed our employees to attend and to take up a lot of those seminars. And after that, you could actually see the difference in how they take or how they see their jobs or their responsibilities. So that's one thing that I think is very important.
Yes. And what about the leaders who let their constituents fail? How do you feel about this, ma'am?
Angeli, I think there are times when it's really necessary, because there are, like the cliche, like how they say that you can really, sometimes you really learn from your mistakes. So yeah, it's sometimes, as long as it's like calculated failure, it's, if it's not fatal, then it's okay. If it's something that will possibly um, result in something better, or result in something beautiful, so it's okay to allow others to fail, or your constituents to fail.
Thank you for that, ma'am. Now, in terms of bonds within the organizations you've worked with over the years, how do you think leaders should create a climate of trust and facilitate relationships among people in a work team?
Joel, I think the key to this is the leader himself or herself. Um, because how you project yourself, and how people see you, is very important. You set the tone. Like, let's say we're talking about trust and building relationships. It really starts with the leader. If the leader is trustworthy, if the leader is seen as someone who's sincere, if the leader is seen as someone that is there for the long haul, then um, the the employees or the followers see that, and that would be the natural flow of things. I don't know. That's how I see it.
Yes, for sure. That's really wonderful, ma'am. And thank you for that really natural and realistic explanation. And yeah, so let's go back to being a leader once again. If you can think of three things that can be done to improve each leadership practice for aspiring leaders or even those who are already leaders yet continue to grow each day, what do you think those three things are?
Um, Angeli, I think I really didn't really try to think up of three things, to be honest with you. But the main thing that one can do to improve their leadership is being open, and being open to suggestions, being open to criticisms. That's really a main thing. And also, to improve your leadership, it's important to seek growth. So they might be formal leadership trainings. They might be however way it comes, that will possibly make you grow as a leader. It could be something that's offered by the government, go to the leadership academy, because there are leadership academies. There are things available there, or even just some self help, read books, things like that. So I hope that helps.
It does. Um, a leader must be such an important role, and to do well in your position on the daily basis must be quite a challenge, as of course our lives aren't always running smoothly, right? How about you, ma'am? Did you ever have a time that you struggled to keep balance with work and your personal life? If so, how did you manage to fix it, ma'am?
Okay. Thank you, Joel. This is the thing. This might sound superficial, superficial or fake. But the truth is, I've never really been in a situation where there's that big crisis to balance work and life, because I really feel that as long as you know your priorities, you'll never have that problem. As long as as long as you don't compromise your um, integrity, your principles, it's not gonna be a problem. Just like how if your decision making, the way you're doing things are based on the Bible, you could never go wrong. That's what I there are times when I feel like, oh, this is going to be a crisis. But then if you go back to asking God for guidance, then it's not a problem anymore. So thank God for that.
Amen.
And yeah, while you have experienced that, and we're thankful that you know how to stand whenever there's an upcoming struggle like that, and we're glad that Jesus helps you and you know how to come to Him. And so, while that happens, of course, your members must be having a hard time to time as well. How do you monitor them or their performance as individual team members? Do you ever do something in order to keep them motivated?
Okay, Angeli, this is very situational. As of the moment, I don't really have um, as much of a situation, or I don't really have to deal with this, because as a legislator, our our type of work is very different from when you're a mayor or you're a governor, because when you're that, you have to deal with this big organization, um, compared to being a board member or like being a counselor or a congressman. You actually have to on a small thing, policy making, and you only have to deal with your just a few people. Your maybe your legislative secretary and a few people in your office. And for that we in the government, they always get performance evaluation reviews and stuff like that. But then it also helps if as the leader or as the boss, you need to have meetings with them, like really scheduled meetings as much as possible. Maybe you meet with your workers, your employees, so that you always have this constant communication. They will know your expectations, and they can also tell you where they are, what skills they need, uh things like that.
It's really nice to hear from you, ma'am. And lastly, I would like to ask, to sum up our overall talk, how would you describe your leadership style?
Okay. As I've said earlier, it's I my aspiration is to really lock into a servant leadership style, wherein um, you don't really think much of what you want, where you want to go, what do you want to achieve for yourself. But when you're placed in one position, like let's say a board member or a governor or a mayor or whatever, you are there because you're placed there because the people and your God expects you to do something for them, to serve them. So that's really my aspiration. And that's really what I hope to become, a servant leader. Oh, does that answer your question, Joel?
Perfectly.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Uh,
Thank you very much for that answer, ma'am. And of course, thank you very much for your wonderful time. It is an absolute honor once again to have you here with us today. And honestly, we've learned so much from you. Really, ma'am. Right, Jola?
Yes, indeed. It's really nice to be able to grasp some knowledge from someone who has gone through such a large background in being an actual leader herself.
That's right.
Ma'am Roseanne, thank you so much for this wonderful experience, and I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Thank you, Mrs.
it,
Lim.
it is my pleasure. And before we leave, I want you to listen to this. Is it okay with you?
Of
Yes.
course.
I got this from the book Education by Ellen G. White. And it says, the greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their innermost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens fall. So, I hope we all have that. We all remember that every day. So, it is my pleasure to be asked by you, Jules, to take part in this interview. Good luck to both of you, and you can call me anytime if you need anything else. Okay?
Thank you po.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Before you leave, ma'am, can I ask if we can take a picture together?
Sure.
Pose a smile. Yes. I'll count to 3. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. You guys take care. Stay safe.
Yes. Same
Thank
to
you
you,
so much.
ma'am.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Okay.